Hey guys, it's Jacob here, and I want to first of all apologize. Anyway, I want to apologize because this is going to be long. There's no way I can do this vlog without making this a long one. So anyway, damn, missed a gear. If you're not interested with either the DR or the KLR, if neither one of those bikes interest you, then you're not really going to want to watch this, because I'm just riding to Marland, which is North Oklahoma, and I'm actually riding over here because we're doing a picture game on the DR forums. Anyway, okay, to business. Now that I've totally scatterbrained and ADHD'd this. Okay, so you guys know I sold my 2000 KLR and picked up a 2000 DR, and I wanted to share my thoughts on all this with anybody who's thinking about either one of these bikes, so that it can help you make a better decision on the two, because it doesn't boil down to as simple as a lot of people want to make it sound. Okay, so I'm just going to basically kind of start from the front to the back, because that's be the easiest for me to keep track of. First things first, you see it doesn't have the big fairing. It's just got this little headlight shroud thing. I don't even know what they call those. And so the wind isn't deflected as high on this compared to the Gen 1 KLR. On this bike, the wind hits me right in the chest, which is perfect, because I don't like wind to hit around my helmet. I'd rather it be hitting me in the chest, and then my head's up here in nice clean air. It's like there's no buffeting on my helmet or anything, just nice fresh clean air. Whereas back down here, like about chest level, is where the turbulent area is, and it doesn't even affect me. So to me, the DR fits me better on that aspect. If you're the kind of guy that's super worried about windshields and you want to like have this giant bubble around you, then maybe the KLR, well, as a matter of fact, the KLR would be a better bet, because the windshield mounts to the fairing, and you don't have to have any rigged up mounts to the little fly screen here or to the bars or anything. So in that aspect, the KLR is a better choice if you're that kind of guy that wants this giant plate of glass in front of you to where you the wind goes over your head. To me, I could ride a bike with absolutely nothing, no windscreen, no nothing, like this, obviously, and be perfectly content. So, next thing is, move back a little bit. The gauges on the DR are obviously a single speedo, very simple, no gas gauge, no tachometer, no nothing. All you have is neutral, turn signal, and high beams on your indicator lights, and that's it. And obviously that's for a weight. They didn't want this big gauge cluster weighing things down on a bike that they were trying to steer more to the off-road side of dual sport. There we go, tractor just pulled out. Okay, back up a little more. The handlebars. The handlebars on the KLR are solid mounted. They don't have risers that are removable. And on the DR, they are removable, and you can swap them out to different height risers and stuff. So I think that point kind of goes to the DR. Can't really see around this guy. Nope. Man, that would suck to run into the back of that. Look at all them spikes. Okay. While we're talking about the handlebars, the clutch pull on the DR is completely different than the clutch pull on the KLR. The KLR has a relatively narrow friction zone, whereas the the DR's friction zone is really long, and it starts like way back at the grip. You know, it's not like it is all the way at the end. So it's because it's this really long friction zone. It's kind of hard to explain until you feel one. But on the KLR, it was difficult for me to pull it with 2 fingers or with 1 finger, whereas the DR was. And it may just be that my bike versus this bike. Maybe I needed to lube the cable or something. But the DR does have a lighter clutch pull and a longer engagement, which is not necessarily a bad thing or a good thing for each one. It's just something to note. As far as the brakes, I think both of them are pretty much the same on brakes. Neither one of them really has great brakes, but neither one of them are bad. They both suffer from the same weak springs, and the front end will dive under braking in the front. But that's about, well, almost any dual sport. You know, they all seem to be sprung for a guy about 110 pounds. Let me think here. Anything else up front? Oh, by the way, if you have double take mirrors for the KLR, they will directly screw in for the DR. They're just directly bolt swap. You know, same threads and everything. Okay, fuel. We're going to back up the fuel tank here. This one has an IMS, I believe it's a 4.9 gallon tank on it. So even with this aftermarket tank, it still doesn't have the same fuel size, fuel capacity as a stock KLR. So depending on how you look at that, you could either say the point goes to the KLR or the point goes to the DR because of weight. That's kind of your call on that one. I know a lot of people are real big, big on the big tanks, and you know, I'm not really big on it. You know, if I have about a 150 mile range, I'm pretty happy, because at that point I want to fill up. I want to get off the bike and go fill up for a minute. Alright. So, next thing I'm going to talk about is the seat. The factory seat on the DR and the KLR, they both suck. So, you know, an aftermarket is pretty much in order for either bike. This one has a Corbin flat, which personally I think is a pretty good seat. Based on the seat that I had on my KLR versus the seat I have on this bike, I am more comfortable on this flat Corbin than I was on the low seat concepts I had. And I think that's just because I can move around more, whereas on the low version of the seat concept seat, I was pretty much stuck in one spot. The seat height on the DR is lower than the KLR, so I didn't need to put on a low seat on this one so far. Once I do the suspension on this and stiffen it up, it may need something. But okay, so that's seats. Air filter access on both bikes are about the same. I prefer a bike that has an actual door to the outside. Just, you know, I open it up, I'm right there. Not I have to remove a panel, then a door, whereas both bikes you have to do that. And so I don't like having to remove body panels. I prefer something like maybe the XR has. Okay, let's move on to the big one. Let's talk about engine. Now, the KLR engine has more bottom end grunt, you know, bar none. I mean, it just has it. That thing will just thump. If you never rode a KLR, you can be 2 gears high and just feed it throttle, and that thing will just chug like that, you know. and it's kind of a weird sensation. You can ask any KLR rider about it, and they'll tell you it's the bike just has the low end grunt that that a lot of other bikes don't, and that is this DR included. The DR makes its power higher in the rev range, and so you have to either get the tire spinning on loose stuff or work the clutch, and maybe that helps with that long clutch engagement, but that's just the way it works. I've played around on some hills so far, and the bike hasn't died on me, but it does chug down quite a bit. So you know, you gotta feed the throttle into it and let that back tire spin, which is another weird sensation, that my KLR back tire really didn't spin that much. Maybe it's wider, I don't know, I haven't compared tire sizes, but it definitely did not spin as much as this bike does. So maybe it's the way the power comes on. You know, it feeds more power in at higher RPMs. Maybe it is more apt to break the tire loose. But that's just what I've noticed. The tire on this is easier to break loose than the KLR, and maybe that's a weight issue also, or weight bias. You know, how much weight's on the back end compared to the front end. Oh, 35. I'm actually kind of happy to be able to slow down into Marlin. That highway riding is cold. It's like 48 degrees Fahrenheit here. I've got grip heaters on this bike, and so they're on low right now. Oh, that's one thing I want to mention. Vibration. The handlebar vibration on this bike is less than the KLR. Less handlebar vibration, that's my opinion. There is probably about the same, if not a little more, foot peg vibration on this bike, which is kind of weird because it's another thing I want to mention. The foot pegs on the DR are rubber mounted, whereas they're solid mounted on the KLR. So you go from, when you step on the bike, if you mount like a horse, you know, you step on the peg and kick your leg over, then you feel that peg give. But when you're riding the bike, you know, up on the bike, you'll never feel it move, or you don't ever notice it. I mean, it moves obviously, but I've never noticed it. So okay, foot pegs, engine. Let me see here. Talked about the airbox. Okay, the rear. The chain adjusters on the swing arm are actually better on the DR versus the KLR, because they're just this twist adjuster, and so it makes it to where you can you know, just count the notches and then put the other side on the same notch. Now, how accurate it is, I don't know. Maybe you can get it more accurate on the KLR, but for me, I like this because it's just a simple notch. Wham! You count how many notches you're at, and it's done. And that's basically it on my observations on here. So, in conclusion, this is where I put in the opinion here. If you don't care about the wind protection, then the DR is a much funner bike. If you're worried about, you know, the wind protection, then the KLR is an easier choice. If you like to play on your bike more, the DR would be a better choice than the KLR, simply because it's 50 pounds lighter. It's literally, it feels more than that, but it's literally 50 pounds lighter. And it's kind of amazing how much lighter this bike feels, even just moving it around in the driveway or the garage, or you know, backing it up and it gets kind of off balance or something. The weight difference is amazing. So if you like to go off-road, then the DR is definitely a better choice. Although the KLR is for how big it is an amazing off-road bike. I just feel like the DR is a much better starting point than the KLR ever was. Now, that being said, this bike is not as well set up as my KLR was. My KLR was sprung and had both suspensions rebuilt. This one feels like mush. So, anyway, hope you guys enjoy this really long video. I'll get with you eventually and show you some more riding on it. For now, I've just been kind of breaking it in and getting used to it, taking care of some stuff that maintenance-wise it needed to be taken care of. So, anyway, there you have it. Thanks for watching, guys.